In terms of leveraging strategic program timelines, thinking of the when, the how, and the why for your impact with your programming, we're going to discuss just how implementation phases can align with your funder expectations. What are the built-in evaluation checkpoints that you can build into place for your nonprofit and your program specifically? How do you address contingency plans like funding gaps, unexpected delays? How do you take care of that internally and communicate that to funders? What project management tools can you put in place just to accommodate any of these bumps in the road? And how do we take that home? How do we improve the processes in the organizations that we work in? So, I feel like this is very much related to the OPAs, to the SMART goals that we've been talking about. But specifically, what would you recommend to folks who are listening and watching us in this breakout for what they can bring home to their agency?
Absolutely. Something an alarm that's going off in my brain right now from project management is Gantt charts. I think Gantt charts is an amazing tool as it relates to what we're talking about right now in this reflection slide about tracking service delivery in particular, regardless of what the external factors are, because Gantt charts are a tool that allow you in real time to see how far close to that timeline that you're meeting, but just at a visual glance, right? Without you having to take the time to communicate to an individual. You can just see that chart right in front of you and know how close you are to the end versus how far away you are to the end. And then another tool that I would recommend is work breakdown structures. That allows you, from a nonprofit management standpoint, to be able to look at a chart in real time and see where those resources need to be allocated, whether that's product resources, human resources, or funding resources as well. But it's a tool, chart, work breakdown structure, also known as a WBS, which allows you to see it in real time so that you can cut back on the effort and time that it takes to hold a meeting, coordinate time with someone, and you can just share that document and be able to go back and forth with one another on that.
I agree. I think structure is so important. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And like we've talked about with the grand calendar, just making sure that you're fully aware of what this project might entail, and hopefully building in that buffer time. So if there are unexpected delays or if you do reach a funding gap, you're able to have at least thought about that a little bit instead of just jumping right into the deep end. I would also add that transparency and communication is really key. So folks on the individual project team, folks who are responsible for implementation, then also the funders and folks within your network as well. Funders like to be included. They don't like to see a ton of surprises where if something popped up 6 months ago, they don't want to hear about it at your year-end report for why you weren't able to achieve what you had projected. And additionally, these are opportunities to have appeals. So like, let's say that there's an equipment breakdown or your kitchen gets flooded. This is a chance to let your supporters and funders know this is an unexpected expense and an opportunity for you to maybe tap into emergency grants or emergency donations. So people who are really aligned with your organization will be able to support it. And if they don't know what's going on, they won't be able to be tapped in the same way.
Absolutely. And we're talking food insecurity a lot throughout this course. And so something that's coming to mind for me right now is previous clients that I've worked with that started and oversee community gardens. I think community gardens, when we talk about food insecurity, is a great example to draw upon when we talk about these external factors that come at play that could either stop that service delivery from happening, but also it creates opportunities for, if that happens, what are you still going to do? And what I've seen work very well is implementing education within the community garden aspect, not necessarily just teaching folks how to grow, manage their own food, right? But also healthy nutrition practices in terms of what you're ingesting and what you're taking in and what that does for like the human body, the brain, work, all the things to be a healthy human. And so in that end, I just want to bring that up as well for any of our folks that may be considering community gardens. This is something, this particular section we're reflecting on, that's something you want to be mindful of in terms of program or service delivery on those gap periods throughout your grant calendar. What could you do where you don't have folks in the field?
100%. Yep. I think it's about finding those off times, being strategic, and just the one thing is getting back to whatever process and planning you have and making sure it's reflecting all phases of your program, of your outreach, of your internal just productivity, internal meetings, transparency and communication, and just making sure you have all those bases covered. So surprises are going to come no matter what, but just trying to limit those as much as possible.
Absolutely. And so continue to reflect on these moments throughout this slide as it relates to any implementation phases that align with the funder expectations for your grant writing or grant proposals that you're tackling, as well as questioning your nonprofit's capacity in terms of, have you built evaluation checkpoints or metrics into your program plan that you're seeking to get funding for? And also, does the program plan account for any of those unexpected delays or external factors that Anthony and I have touched upon as well? So make sure that you're documenting. There's the rest of those questions on the slide for you to review. And also make sure that you're sharing resources with some of your fellow cohort members throughout this course as well on our online forum.